Today we're sitting down with
Bill Robertson.
And Tyler Hart.
from
The Hive.
The Hive, baby. The Hive Wellness and Social.
the Hive. So before we get into the ins and outs of the financials of the Hive, we were talking before about stuff that we do and don't want to talk about. I know some people like to talk about that, some people don't. But so they own this movement, I would call it. Is that fair to say?
That's exactly how we frame it.
Cool.
One of the ways
Okay.
we frame it.
Called the Hive, and I'll let you guys tell the story. So if you could give us like a synopsis, maybe you do half, you do the other half. What do you guys see the Hive as?
Sure. So, what we're moving towards right now is Milwaukee's first ever true social wellness club. That's how I like to frame it. So there's exclusive emphasis on we're coming together to be together in space and cultivate meaningful connection, because that's fundamental to wellness. It is wellness. And when we think about holistic health, we think about things like drinking clean water, moving our bodies, breathing clean air, thinking positively, sleeping enough, eating the right foods, all these things. But for some reason, not many people are having the conversation about we need to have relationships that are going into the depths, right? The deeper layers of who we are, where there's an element of self-disclosure and revealing. And so we bring a lot of practices into the space that help people understand the mechanics of what gets you there. And there's tons of scientific data to support socializing and meaningful relationships being as important as these other elements in which we consider fundamental to holistic health. So there's that. And then aside from this, we primarily work with deliberate heat and cold exposure. Mm-hmm. So we bring people together around these practices: yoga, mindfulness, deliberate heat and cold exposure, music. So there's going to be, elements of live DJs and dancing and singing, and really just an experimental space for people to come together and explore healing. What does it look like to heal? It means to be human, right? And to be together, and leverage these practices to find more self-liberation, find more self-connection, and vitalize our bodies. So that's how I'd describe it. What do you got, buddy?
You just described it very well. I think big part of the mission of the Hive is inviting people into the space to get curious with themselves. Who are they? What is their value system? Where do they see themselves in the world? To craft an identity around my purpose. And then also from the spaces we create and the modalities we offer is cultivate a really great sense of self-empowerment and the ability to go back out into the world and share those gifts and help just define what is mine to do in the world? What is my dharmic path? And I think the easiest way to get people into that mindset of anything is possible and I feel great is the contrast therapy work of going into 200 degrees in a sauna and then 40 degrees in the water, and everything that comes up both in your mind and body, and then through that being able to find peace and excitement through those extremes. And so what we offer is if you can do that in this space, what's to prevent you from doing it in your everyday life? As the extremes of stress, anxiety, expectation, all these things are presented to us. Can we capture those moments that we had at a Hive event where it's okay, this and that too, and I can just be my authentic self. So so a catalyst for people to open up that way, and then just shifting people out of these practices that are plaguing society with just alcoholism and eating the horrible foods and too much screen time. And I think just opening people up to the idea that I can feel good without these other external factors, that I can cultivate my own sense of happiness and well-being in a community that also values that. And that's the one thing you'll see at every Hive event is people coming to them, not really knowing what to expect, and then leaving with a best friend or plans to meet with a group or something after that, which is a big part of the intention as well.
Yeah, that's sweet. I think that the idea of bringing people together is something that, man, dude, group fitness is always way better, right? And you always see that the people in group fitness are more bought into I don't know, it could be Burn Boot Camp or CrossFit, the cult, right? Which I am admittedly a part of the cult. But it always works better because you have that emotional connection with the other people there. And so you have this mutual suffering and understanding of what that person has gone through, and you've gained like a level of respect for that person because they've been able to do it. And then it does cultivate like resilience outside of that class too, and knowing that you have other people that maybe you could lean on or whatever. So I guess when you talk about like healing in terms of cold and sauna, what do you guys see like the role with that is? I think that healing is a really weird word, right? Like language, that word specifically with how people use it in their language, I feel like is like super just odd, right? So like I want to hear your perspective on what healing means.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it can mean a multitude of things. I think ultimately it boils down for me making the unconscious conscious. So we don't know what we don't know. And if, like a lot of us, when we come into this world, there's a culture at hand, there's a specific narrative that culture is playing out. That narrative is imposed upon us, and we're behaving based off that narrative and that conditioning that we receive from the culture. We're not aware of that until we become aware of that. So it's like ultimately, like, who am I is the question I would ask. And that's like the North Star for healing for me, getting to know ourselves, like I was talking about before.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? Well, we need to be in relationship with others because we can only know so much about ourselves on our own. We have all these blind spots, we have these cognitive biases and beyond. So we need the mirror of relationship to pull certain things up and out. We need to be on our own self-inquiry journey through journaling or just like sitting with ourselves in meditation or going for walks or whatever the case may be. We should probably be engaging in some sort of physical activity, challenging our bodies, because that's another like form of mirror in which we can discover undiscovered aspects of ourselves.
Yeah.
So like ultimately I see healing as like a excavation journey. It's like unearthing, like, who am I truly? What is the essence of me past who I've been told to be?
Yes.
Like, dude, like,
yeah.
And many people, they end up on their deathbeds without even getting close to figuring out who they are. And it's not even their own fault. It's just the culture's fault, because this isn't something that's valued in the culture. So I think I'll just leave it at that for now. I don't know if you want to noodle on that as well. Yeah. But there's a multitude of facets of healing, right? Physical healing, mental, emotional healing, spiritual healing. And they all matter, right? But yeah, I would like to boil it down to like figuring out who you truly are and what are you here to do? What gifts are you here to bring?
Yeah.
And we, like, a big central focus of what we do, which Tyler spoke to, is helping people connect to their purpose, by going through this excavation process, by, purifying the body, building meaningful relationships, and then, through that, filling your energetic cup, being more clear, going out into the world with that energy, and then just having a lot more wherewithal to be like, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to start creating something because I'm empowered. I believe in myself now because I'm in a community of people who like embrace me for who I truly am and are encouraging me. And, it's an infinite process, right? But I think ultimately that's how I would put words to it in this moment.
Yeah. Healing, I feel like, carries with it a little bit of a like stigma, like in the culture that we've created, where it's a lot of like immediate gratification, like, and healing is like this process and a journey. And with all the different forms of it, like you could be, having a spiritual healing or a physical healing, and like then have a perspective of like what healing is for somebody else. And like, and it's not always like congruent or supportive of somebody's individual journey, because you might have an expectation like, oh, well, you've done enough therapy, you should be healed now, you know, and like you have these like benchmarks of like what you think life should look like in the future. And so the word that comes up for me when I think about healing is also acceptance, like acceptance of like, this is who I am now, and like I want to be this other version, and that is a million different decisions between now and actually realizing that. And it's the same way for all other people. So accepting of where you are, accepting that like somebody else's path is very different, but they might have that same goal as like, I want to be a healed person. And I'm working on it in the best way I know how. So I think there's a lot of like, just kind of almost resentment toward the word of like, oh, I got to keep doing this healing, you know, where it's like, I want to feel differently. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's kind of what's coming up for healing on my end.
It's also like, I feel like there's this idea that like there is a specific way to look at what healing means. Like you said, it's like not congruent for like every person or whatever. That like some people will look at others and be like, oh, they need to heal or whatever. And like the thing that pops up for me specifically is what's really popular is talking about nervous system regulation and regulating your nervous system. And for me, to a degree, right, because I come from like a sports background and all these things, but I'm like, I don't know if that's the goal, to regulate your nervous system. I think that a lot of people think that's the goal, but I think what really the goal is, and maybe this is part of healing, and it's definitely part of like my healing that, you know, I go through or that I've done, is it's not necessarily to regulate, it's to adapt and to be resilient, right?
Expand capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
System versus being regulated all the time.
Exactly.
To expand the capacity of your nervous system, you need to be dysregulated.
Yeah, and because you can train it, exactly, right? And like you need to understand and know what anger feels like, what sadness feels like, what happiness, what joy feels like. And a regulated nervous system, I'm not super sure, would actually teach you those lessons. And like how, like what actually matters is how you act when you're in those positions, when you're in those moments, right? Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
That's good. Yeah. I heard a quote recently. It was, and maybe this is debatable. Everything's debatable. You don't learn compassion in heaven.
That's all we're here to do.
You learn. We're here to argue and debate. You don't learn compassion in heaven. You learn it in hell. Like you learn it in the depths, right?
Yeah.
Like when you get tossed into the deep end, and it's like, you know, you're in this place of darkness or confusion or whatever the case may be. It's like, how are you navigating this path and continuing to move forward, right? So. And just experiencing like true pain, right? That I think that's required to have compassion for others and to understand others' darkness. Another Carl Jung quote: "The best way to deal with the darkness of others is to understand your own."
Yeah.
Like you need to connect to your own pain to have compassion for other people's pain. You won't take other people's pain personally when you understand your own pain because you can relate to it. You understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'd say to that.
Another thing that you guys like just brought up was knowing yourself. I think that is such a deep thought that no one actually takes time to like think about throughout life, because from the time you're born, kind of like what you were talking about before, you're hit with all these inputs, boom, 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 TV, music, so-and-so's opinion about whatever, politics and all these different things. And I think not a lot of people take much time to understand, like, what do I think about these things and why, right? Because like you might have an opinion about something and not even realize that it's not actually your opinion. And I got hit with that like a year and a half ago by somebody, like a good friend of mine. He was like, do you know why you think some of these things? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, why? I was like, fuck, dude, I don't know. I don't know why I think these things. He's like, yeah, what happened in your life that made you actually hold these opinions so strong, or these moral values? And then I actually did take time to sit back and be like, okay, why do I think women should be in the kitchen only, not doing it? No, just kidding. But I did sit back and I was like, why do I think these things? Like, why do I think like masculinity is important, besides just being like told it's important to be masculine? What does masculinity actually mean to me, rather than like, what is the narrative around masculinity? And so like, because a lot of my content before was talking about masculinity and what that meant. And I'll give you guys like a really good example, and maybe we can like rap about this, because I'd like to hear you guys' opinion. But I used to think like it was, this is something that I've changed my mind about, that like, fuck, I don't even know how to like say this properly, so it doesn't, I'm going to let it sound ugly. But I used to, I used to think that like crying was gay. Right? I was like,
that's a fun one to unpack.
Yeah. I was like, why? Like, for what? Like, what are you crying for? Right? Like, and then I would think like you shouldn't cry in front of like your fiance, your wife, your girlfriend or whatever, show signs of weakness. Like you're supposed to be the rock, and kind of more. And I definitely do not cry at all, just to make it clear.
Me neither, dude.
Yeah, just to be clear, dude, we don't do that. But something that I have softened my view on, I guess, is like, like I said before, all these emotions are actually like super important to get pivy with and be familiar with and understand. And crying is the specific one for me. And I started to actually think about like, why do I think that that's bad, to do that? And then I thought, weakness, childhood, these two things correlate for me. So like, then I started to like really, really understand the depths of that for me. And I'm not a big crier, like at all. But then I'm like, okay, so like these times where you like shut yourself down from crying, like what was that about? And then I started to like think more heavily into that. You know what I mean? Yeah. What do you guys think about that whole thing?
Just unpacking beliefs in general, or like questioning beliefs?
Yeah, I guess like
crying
getting
being gay, or
yeah, crying being gay. We all know it's gay. We don't have to go there. No, like I guess getting to know yourself and the reasons why you actually think things, right? Because that's something that like the past 2 years has been real self-discovery for me, like understanding why I believe the things I do, why I hold these intrinsic values. And I still hold a lot of the same values, but I'm actually getting an understanding for why they come up for me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that maybe more people than I realize do explore that. But I feel like the more you have talks with people about like, you have deeper conversation or whatever, they'll be like, Tucker Carlson said this, so like that's why I think that Israel is bad or whatever. And it's like, well, no, do you actually think this thing rather than this person said it and now I'm taking it for what it is? Or have you had a deeper thought of like, okay, this person said this thing, let's dissect it. Do I believe this?
Yeah, I think it's really, really hard to even know like where do my true beliefs come from? Like you mentioned, Tucker Carlson, or just any of the noise that exists in the external that is constantly happening. And one of the things I was going to mention earlier was like just the constant ability to distract yourself. Like you might have 15 minutes to like sit and do nothing in silence, but then you fill it with television, scrolling on my phone, and it's just like constant messaging that's like being subliminally put in your brain that then later like becomes like, oh, that's my value system, that's my belief system, that's how I act now. And I think it's really, really hard. I mean, I think, just where you're born, this, family you grew up in, the church you attended, just like the things that are just spewed at you of just like, this is who you are, this is how life is, and this is your place in it. And I think we're all like seeking that in some degree, that like I want to know, like I want to know why I'm here, I want to know what I'm for, but it's like it's somebody else's story for most of your life, unless you're like seeking, having those more introspective questions of just like, I want to find out who I am or what I'm here to do. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, and I feel like it's just getting more and more confusing as the days go on. Like things just keep moving faster, expectations get like bigger, and the ability to like pause and ask is becoming more and more difficult to do. So I think, which also just points to the importance of it. That's just like if you have any want to break away from these systems and programming, like you have to build space in to like ask those deeper questions for sure.
And yeah, most of what we do is designed around this concept of creating space for the self. So when you go into 180 degree sauna, you're likely not going to have your phone. We're specifically going to have phone-free parties where it's like, we're locking our phones up and we're going to be together. We're going to enjoy this dance. We're going to enjoy the present moment. We're going to enjoy whatever's coming up within the self, and that creates the space for some clarity. Because just to sift through the noise, like I think it's an infinite game, and it's just a continual self-inquiry process, excavation, unearthing, like I was speaking to before, and just continuing to like participate in these various outlets which allow this process to unfold. So I think anyone that's making any sort of effort to take steps forward in this regard is doing the healing work.
Yeah.
And I think like collective empowerment starts with the individual. So we all need to be considering these things as it relates to our health and why we think certain things. Where are our opinions and beliefs coming from? Is it actually us? Can we get to the bottom of that question? I don't know. I mean, right? Because it's like, you ask very good questions, or I think good questions get good answers. So asking ourselves questions is a really good place to start too. Why do I believe this? And then what comes up in my mind, or asking that question and then going for a walk and just letting your mind do whatever processing it's going to do. So I think just any sort of effort in general is going to move the needle in getting to know oneself. And that is imperative to healing self, healing the world. They're kind of one and the same. But yeah, I like what both of you speak to. I appreciate the work you're doing. Like you're very much connected to yourself. I can see you're very playful. You're very open.
Yeah.
I think just like, the intention of being open, right?
Yeah.
Just that alone is going to present you so much opportunity for growth because you're not totally fixed to a certain way of seeing the world. And that's where people lose the game. It's like you see all these older people that are just so attached to seeing things a certain way.
Yep.
And that's hubris, that's ignorance, that's fear. That's definitely fear holding on, grasping, right? It takes ultimate courage to be like, I don't know for sure, you know?
Yeah, that's interesting. I had a conversation with somebody last Saturday actually, and he was like, the people that I don't trust the most are the ones who have it all figured out. They're the ones who like know everything. They have an opinion on everything. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think a lot of us, finding yourself or even purpose-driven stuff, like I'd like to talk to you about purpose, right? I think oftentimes people just like want to feel like for whatever reason they have everything figured out. They can answer every single question. They have an opinion on every single thing, but it's like that doesn't provide the opportunity for growth. And I'm not even so sure that many people are really invested in actually growing, as a person, which is also like a really interesting concept. And I guess that's more so the idea of stagnation or like complacency, right? They're not, they're like, whatever, I got it all fucking figured out. Who cares, right? and
like an omission. It's like you're just throwing in the towel on an unconscious level. That's what I would look at that as.
Yeah, but also to a degree, like I think it's also okay to be that way, right? Like I don't feel the need anymore to push people like you need to go do more. You need to go figure more stuff out because I'm like, you know what? If this is where you're at and this is where you're enjoying life or whatever, do you, boo? You know what I mean? Like chill there. But like as
you're
for me,
you're not responsible for anyone's growth either.
Exactly. And you know what? That's interesting too because for a long period of my life, I actually did feel responsible for
like
people
with your coaching practice.
Yeah, totally. And so I still, and I think that you guys are aligned with this. I still do feel partially the need to be a leader in some sort of like helping people who are open and ready and willing. That's definitely something that's a passion of mine. And I've known that since I was younger. That's one of my purposes in life is to be open arms to anybody that does have the itch to do hard things or to chase their goals, chase their dreams, and maybe need direction or like advice on like how do I get the balls to do the thing that I want to do. Right. And something that I have taken some time to talk to some people about is finding purpose. Mm-hmm. And I think it's different for everybody, but my belief is, and then you guys tell me your opinion, my belief is that it's just freaking implanted you divine intervention from the time you're a kid. And what happens is like, kind of like, I think you were talking about this earlier, is the world comes at you and there's input. There's no time to chill. There's, thing after thing, TV, teacher, government, whoever, right? Government. They're tapping the lines right now. Listen to this.
We're on the list.
Yeah, we're on the list. We're going to get the call.
We're doing good work if we're on the list.
Yeah. But yeah, so much so that then eventually there is a fear complex and no longer can they chase their purpose because they've been told like these are the things you need to do to be successful or whatever, what have you. Yeah.
Yeah. Purpose is interesting. I'll share a brief thing about how those external factors come at you so quickly. So when I graduated college, I was an English major and econ major. Wanted to do broadcast journalism, but started looking at jobs and was just like, I don't know if I really want to work yet. And got a job offer from a recruiting agency, and I mean that's what I ended up taking. But in my heart, I wanted to do the Peace Corps. And I was like, I want to go international. I want to build schools and churches and just be a person of the world and help others and do that. And I remember sitting in my computer and I'm at my parents' house after graduation. I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, I think I want to do Peace Corps. And they're like, you have student loans to pay. You need what do you have $30,000 in student loan debt. You need to get to work. And I was like, yeah, but I have deferments and all this stuff. I can just kind of kick it out. But I feel like I want to do this path. And it was just no, from my parents. And I felt that pressure to just be all right, well, I guess.
Small, man.
Yeah. And
don't follow your dreams.
And like, I remember even like, so then I'm like taking this job and I'm like, all right, well, I need to get motivated. And I put this like nice Mercedes on my background of like, you know, my computer screen. And then, you know, I showed like my mom that, and I was like, yeah, like this is the car I'm idealizing. Like in a year, I'm going to buy this after I like crush this job. And everything. She's like, you really want a car like that? You know, and it was just like, then planted like, oh, maybe I don't want that or need that or whatever. But it was just like one thing after another of like the world telling me like, here's who you are and this is what we expect you to do. And like I didn't like that, but I went along with it. And it wasn't until maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, went to a Satsang concert. If you haven't listened to Satsang, you love Satsang. So we love Satsang too, my wife and I went to a concert. And then like the merch guy back there, started talking to him. We just really hit it off and basically spent like the whole show back there just chatting with this guy. His name is Gregory Bogard. And kind of casually at the end of it, he's like, yeah, man, and let me know if you ever want to come down to Colombia. You can come to my permaculture farm. We'll have a good time. I'm just like, wait, what? Colombia?
Is that why you asked about Colombia before?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I was like Colombia. And then like, you know, went our separate ways. Went to another Satsang show, talked to him again, like built that connection and everything, and then found out like he started this program called Purpose Spark, which is like this introspective look at your life and like past, present, and future, and like designing the life of your dreams by like being able to like heal the wounds of the past. And so I did an online program with him first, and at the end of it, like kind of came to finding my purpose is like, I feel like my place in the world is to help others peel off these layers of like doubt, frustration, you know, anger, like I'm not good enough, and realize that like they had this divine spark inside of them, just like this is what you're here to do, and like empower them to like trust it. And I think like at the Hive, like we talk a lot about of like the muscle we're training is intuition. Like we're trying to help you to understand when you're too hot in the sauna, when you're too cold in the water, but like ultimately like trusting your inner guide that like it knows what is best for you. So that was like a nice revelation for me to find at the time, to be like, this needs to be more of the lane I think that's more authentic to like who I'm going to be. And it kind of piggies back to this Peace Corps, you know, sort of motivation of just like, oh yeah, 20 years ago I was saying the same thing, like I want to go help people, I want to like do this stuff. You know, it just took me a while to like find it and feel confident enough to say like, all right, and that's the path I want to walk now. So so I don't know, long story short, it's like purpose is available for all of us, but it also takes that being open to like meeting new people, asking new questions, like getting curious both with yourself and others. So
was there like a moment I guess that maybe within that program or like something else that you experienced in life that like gave you the permission to do it, like to follow your purpose, to like actually follow the calling that you had?
I think subconsciously, now I'm thinking about it. So my wife and I were talking about, this was a few years ago, like if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? Yeah. And she asked me this question. She's like, so if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And you can't say do yoga all day. And I'm like, but that's kind of what I want to do all day is like do yoga. It's like, well, how are you going to, you know, make money, like support your family and all this kind of stuff? I'm like, well,
that's
like,
a different question.
That's a different question. Yeah. And, but like, just like kind of that response was just like, I think I'm on the right path, because it's like rubbing people a little bit in the wrong way of just like, well, that's not what I'm expecting of you. And it's like, well, it doesn't really matter what your expectation is. Like, where do I see myself fitting in well? So I remember that moment, like of just being like, I think I'm going to keep doing yoga every day and, you know, just do that. So, yeah.
Cool. That's sweet. Yoga's interesting. Just a little side note. That's actually how I like came to God.
Whoa.
Yeah. I did the 200-hour yoga teacher training. And this was in my like Eastern philosophy bro era, right? Before I met Christ. And it's like I had an experience during a yoga practice that was like, whoa, dude, I think I got this all wrong. And then I did a walking meditation, like maybe 2 weeks after that. I was like, oh, dude, I got this all wrong. Like there is God for sure. And at that point, it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't a Christian yet, but that was what like actually opened me up. So little side note, I also enjoy yoga. Yeah.
We love yoga.
Yeah.
We bond a lot over yoga. That's foundational to our relationship and trajectory into the work we're doing now. So
Yeah.
yeah, just combining, these elements of presence and movement and breath and intention, like very basic things, right? And just showing up for that process and letting the body do what it does when you give it what it needs in that regard.
Yeah, for sure. We should talk about like your journey currently that you're on too, because you cut here if we have to. Are you cool with talking about like leaving jewelry?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll leave that in.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So you've done jewelry for a long time.
10
right?
years,
10
over
years.
10 years, probably around 13 years now. So that was my first real creative calling and what I felt to be my purpose, which interestingly enough was rooted in insecurity. I guess, commitment to becoming an excellent jewelry maker. I just was a person in high school who was not happy with who he was. I had severe cystic acne, and I had a hard time looking at myself in the mirror. Definitely was not confident in my abilities to speak to women or anything like that. And there's all this pressure as a man to like lose your virginity in high school as like a key indicator of masculinity and like your value in the social hierarchy and all these things. And I just had such a poor inner dialogue. It was just so toxic, so toxic. This acne on my chest would like right here, which now the scars look like bullet wounds essentially. That would just get infected over and over and over again, be so painful. And I was just so ashamed. I just carried so much shame. So as one does, you're like, how do I get out of this? Oh, if I prove myself through externalities, I'm validated, I'm loved, I'm worthy. That was the story I was telling myself. Got into music, which helped me explore my creativity. I was always into the arts, loved working with ceramics, things like this. Eventually transitioned into jewelry making because I was in the music scene. I was exploring psychedelics and cannabis and things like this, which really opened me up to like a new paradigm and way of experiencing myself, my own conditioning as I was experiencing it, finding more love slowly but surely. Pursued jewelry making, really committed to it, loved it. And then at a certain point, there was a breaking point in which it was like, okay, I'm starting to realize this isn't working. This isn't like a valid pathway out of my disconnection with myself, my judgment of myself, the toxic inner world I was experiencing. And I knew I needed to do something different. I wasn't sure what was happening. I didn't have really any relationships I could lean on. At least that's the story that was unfolding in my head. So I felt super lost. I didn't know what to do. And that's right around when I was discovering Paul Chek. I was listening to Aubrey Marcus, and he presented, or Paul Chek specifically.
Paul Chek,
yeah, the guy, the man, the myth, the legend.
The G.
Yeah, he like had shared that he was doing an event, and I was like, I need to go to that. And if I sell a piece of jewelry in the next 2 weeks, I'll go. I sold one like the next day, and I got all the things lined up. And then I went out to this event, and it was my first experience of like an intentional community gathering, and what it looks like to be received by other individuals in a loving way. It was like they were curious about me, about like my pain and what was going on. And I would say that singular experience informs almost completely the work that I'm doing now. Is just a seed planted where it was like, oh, this is what it's about, truly being open to one another's pain and what we're going through and struggling with, and just like a new paradigm of what's possible in a relationship essentially. And so I guess moving forward, I experimented. I did Slingshot Wellness. We did a podcast on that. That was another like similar social wellness organization, very small, very casual. And so experimented and eventually led to the Hive Wellness and Social, and transitioning out of jewelry now, as we were talking about before. And so that's pretty much.
Yeah, I think.
Synopsis.
Well, the interesting thing with like, it seems like you, me, that we have in similarity, right, is like, are in common, is the ability to give yourself permission to like leave something that maybe served you well, but then no longer was serving you the way that it used to serve you. Right. For me, it was like fitness coaching, and like I loved it. I'm still super passionate about fitness and everything that I do, wellness, holistic, all that stuff. But like fitness specifically in coaching, I had to give myself permission to leave it, because if I didn't, it was just going to run me into the dirt. You know what I mean? In terms of like, I would just be doing something that I hated forever, or gaining some sort of resentment towards the thing that I initially fell in love with when I was younger. Yeah. And then for you, like, what was the point where like you gave yourself permission to be like, okay, you know what? Like maybe it could have been like, I've made enough money doing this thing, or like I've had enough customers, I've proven myself in this field, I need to go do something else. What
was the catalyst, like the main pivot?
Yeah.
It was just recognizing that it was no longer serving me. It was more of a net negative than a net positive. And that was the case for the past 3 years. It was just, again, choosing this position that I'm comfortable with, this thing that I'm good at, this thing that I can easily make money doing, seamless process, and just like building a career off of it. Everyone around me is enforcing my identity as a jeweler. Like, you're so good at this thing. Like, why would you ever stop? And like, there's just so many tests from the universe to like keep me stuck in this thing where...
Dude, what were they? I'll tell you some of mine.
I mean, the main ones were just like, I would set these loose boundaries around, okay, like I was fully aware that I no longer want to do this thing. I want to pursue a career in health and wellness, whatever that looks like. I did some mindset coaching stuff and things along these lines. And so I'd set these boundaries like, okay, I'm not going to accept any more jewelry projects for 6 months. And then I would get an opportunity to work on a piece for like 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then that boundary would go out the window. Cause I mean, I did need to support myself financially. So it was just like, this was like the recurring pattern. It was like, I would set the boundary, and then somebody would reach out to me inquiring about getting a custom project done. And I would, betray myself essentially and accept the job. And that kept me off my path for a handful of years, which it's unfolded exactly as it was supposed to. Mm-hmm. But eventually it was like, no, I'm finally committing to this. Like, I have the wherewithal to do so. Like, I'm taken care of. I have trust and faith in my process. And I owe it to myself ultimately to commit to the thing I want to do. I'm going to be dead one day.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Like,
yeah.
And I'm here to commit to my purpose, which is serving in health and wellness, being of service to the community in these ways, considering my own trajectory as a person, how much pain I was in, and how much pain other people are in, and being able to teach and guide from that place. So yeah, there wasn't like anything crazy. It was just like, I was comfortable with this thing. I tried to set boundaries. I wasn't firm on those boundaries, and then it kept me stuck.
I think that is pretty crazy though, actually, because how many people in life will actually recognize that type of thing and then do something about it? Like for me, it was kind of the same thing where like, it'd be like, all right, no. And then like thousands of dollars would show up at my window, and then I'd be like, okay, one more. And then it was like,
that was it.
Yeah, one more, fine. And then it would be like, and then I would feel so ashamed about it after the fact. Like, fuck, dude, did I really just do that? And then I remember when I finally gave myself permission to stop doing the thing was I said no to just one person, and then boom, it was done. It was over with.
That was the case for me. As soon as I said the first, it's just been easier and easier to say no. Mm-hmm. Like, all my closest friends are reaching out to me. Like, I was like, I can't do it. I can't even accept a little repair job. Like, sorry.
Yeah. Just no, because this isn't who I'm deciding to be anymore. This isn't where I see my future or anything like that. And what's really interesting too is the way that people will see that, right? They'll be like, I can't believe that you would give that up, or like, what are you doing? Like, they have all these judgments that they might bestow upon you, and then, but you're like, but the whole point is to change. The whole point is to grow and do the things that I want to do. Like you said, you're going to be dead someday. Like, dude, do the thing, right? Do the thing. With that, let's talk about the thing.
Let's talk about
right? Because that's the most exciting part is the thing. Give me a rundown first on the space. So let me give you guys some context as to why I'm super excited for what you're doing. Okay. and then I expect a free membership.
We could talk
I'm
about
totally
that.
kidding.
Sponsorship.
No, I
Ambassador. You could be an ambassador.
an ambassador. I'm down with that. Or we could definitely do some partnerships together. We could work something out. I bought a cold plunge for my house, and I have a barrel sauna outside. Sauna, admittedly, I almost never use. Getting hot, I'm like, dude,
All right,
I'm over
forget
it.
the ambassadors. It's over.
I love contrast though, doing it together. The shitty part about doing it at your house, which like this is so off track, but like the coolest part about doing a sauna at a gym or like a collective place like this is it's already set. Like you don't have to like at my house I have to wait 25 minutes, 30 minutes for it to get hot, and I'm like, dude, I got shit to do. Like, let's get out of here, But anyway, and my cold plunge just stays on all day, 24 hours. But anyways, I am super pumped about what you guys are doing because I actually was going to do this, but like way smaller scale from what you guys are doing. But so you came to my gym, right? And then my next idea, and then you did too. Yeah, you did too. You guys both did. And then my next idea off of that was to open up a recovery spa like that, like go find a commercial spot like over here in Delafield or whatever. And then I recently talked to my fiance about doing that here in like a year and a half, like getting another space in this office or whatever. But yeah, so that's why I'm super excited for what you guys are doing. And the questions that I have, well, we'll get into that later on, I guess. But yeah, tell us about the space. How big is the space?
Huge.
Yeah.
How many cubic
It is
feet?
freaking huge, dude.
A lot of cubic feet.
Yeah.
I don't know how many cubic feet, but 3,500 square feet of sweet Hive honey is our. Well,
That's big.
we gotta shout out our partners real quick too, Rachel and Daniel Thompson. They've been paramount in getting to where we are. Like I don't know where we would be without them. We wouldn't be where we are essentially. And we'd have them here if we had the capacity for hosting
We can do another one.
this many. Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love to. But yeah, 3,500 square feet end cap space at the Kinetic Building in Bayview, Bay Street in Kinnickinnick. Floor to ceiling windows, 27-foot tall ceilings. So lots of natural sunlight,
Yeah.
which, I mean, to think about how many people are not getting the natural light they need in the winter, just in general as a whole, and the influence on us as biological organisms that has as far as positive influence and, positively impacting mindset, emotional health, physical well-being, all the things. We'll have 2 large communal saunas holding around 50 plus people total, finished saunas. We'll have 1 private therapy room with an infrared sauna, cold plunge, and then we'll have 2 large communal saunas as well, holding 12 people each. And then a huge communal space for a variety of activities ranging from yoga, breathwork, dance parties. We'll do couples nights, singles nights, comedy nights. Really like the sky's the limit. It's a true social wellness club. So central focus is just coming together through these healthy activities and cultivating those deeper bonds and how that influences the fabric of the community and the individuals coming and what that means for them going out into the world and serving in their own capacities.
Dope.
So I'm sure Tyler has more to share on that.
Yeah, the space is going to be great. It's going to be super fun and just very eclectic, I think, in the offerings, very dynamic. And yeah, I mean, you hit all the programming features on the head of just like what's going to be available and everything. I mean, we're going to have like people that can just like drop in. We'll have like memberships available too, and then we're even like with the physical space. Like a big part of like the ethos of the Hive has always been getting people out into nature. So like even though we have the physical space, we'll continue to have like our community events on the beaches and getting people's feet in the sand and in natural bodies of water and everything like that, because it's super important. You touched on the sunlight thing. So our good friend Alex Eggers, who also has a functional training facility in Milwaukee, we both started doing like the rhythm testing, which is like blood work that comes like every month, and then you get the profile and everything. And like we're outside all the time, like winter, summer, whatever, shirts off, like soaking up as much vitamin D as we can. Alex is the same way. And like both of our scores, we were deficient in vitamin D. And it's just like, dude, like we're out in the sun all the time. Like what does the general population's vitamin D score look like if you're not actively trying to do that? And
I'll tell you, really bad.
Really bad.
We do
all need to be
so much blood work here, and like because we do like functional labs or whatever. We check people, I mean the gamut, dude, and every single person is vitamin D deficient by like a lot. It's it's like worrisome.
Yeah, I mean, think about just general mood and like how your approach to the day, your mindset around what's possible in your life. Like we're like deficient in all these things, and then like seeking the external stuff to like make yourself feel better when it's like really an internal issue that's like, root causes are these simple things we're talking about: drinking water, sleep, getting sun, having meaningful connection. And like if you had that as a prescription, like go out and make new friends and hang out in the sunshine, like
eat a banana. The real medical interventions.
Right, yeah. Dude, they are. I mean, little tangent, but like I can't believe they like somehow, some way, somebody told us that the thing in the sky that God created to give us life, like everywhere, is poisonous to you. Like I am team 0 sunscreen ever. Not even like tallow, zinc based stuff. Like I'm like, no, give it to me. Right? I want all of it. But like I think that that's just like the most wild narrative that was that like we're photobiomodulators, dude, right? Like we have, I mean, not to get like super nerdy or anything like that, but there's literally receptors in our eyes, you know what I mean, and in our skin that help regulate hormone and stuff based off of how often we're able to see the sun.
Yeah, it's one of the ultimate governors of circadian rhythm, and circadian rhythm is paramount to wellness. Understanding that rhythm and what are the anchors of that rhythm: eating, sunlight, going to bed at the same time every night, waking up at the same time, all these things.
Yeah, digestion is like super, like your stomach has its own rhythm to it, like in that space. I mean, it's just like insane. So anyway, you guys,
and as far as like, we're all vitamin D deficient. On that note, like supplement vitamin D. You're not going to get what you need from the sunlight alone based off where we're at in relationship to the equator and what that means for the certain types of sun rays we're receiving. But just like the morale boost alone from like being in a space where a bunch of natural light is, occupying it, it's like, that's a primary thing I'm looking for in my living quarters, anywhere I'm really going. It's just, it has a tangible impact on my mood, and that was one of like a big reason we settled on this space. Just the spaciousness in general, the tall ceilings, the amount of natural light coming in. People really struggle in the winter with seasonal depression, and
we're in Wisconsin, so that's an important thing to say.
Yeah.
What is everyone's role at the business?
Sure. Yeah. You want to speak to yours?
We're all wearing many
Yeah.
Totally.
We're working, on so many different workflows all at the same time. So, I think, I don't know. We'll figure it out over time. I mean, I feel like I've fallen into the role of like relationship development, business development, like creating meaningful partnerships in the community with, businesses, nonprofits, and just like people that also want to create dynamic spaces for people to like engage with their community, and like finding those people and saying, all right, let's make the coolest thing we can possibly do together, and let's see what reverberates from that. So that, and just like you just mentioned earlier, just feeling like that leadership as a young child. Like I've always been a leader. I've always been like,
he's the strongest leader on the team for sure. I haven't even reflected that to you, and I just want to acknowledge that as like essential glue of what we're doing, and really just assuming that role and the courage that takes, and just the years of input that's required to get you where you are, and your philosophy behind that, which I'm excited to interview you on that when I get you on the Space for Being podcast, because he's just exemplary and, showing up as a leader, and just all the deposits you've made and getting to where you are in that regard.
Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah. That's also, I mean, it's like, that feels like the natural role to fill, but then also like the growth mindset, person of like being in partnership with people on a project is also like, I also need to like let other things just happen, and like, and I think that's been a habit of mine in like my real estate career of like wanting to control and feeling like I have everything on a string and like it's working. So that's been a part of me too, is just to, I said acceptance earlier, and I'll say it again, just like accept the things for what they are, and like be an encourager and an uplifter versus a controller, and like go this direction because that's what I think is the correct thing to do, because I don't know what's right, and like I very much value Bill's insight and his experience into the space, and Rachel and Daniel too, and I want it to be a collective, thing on everything that we're offering. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Rachel is the chief steward of guiding us three stooges during meetings. She keeps us on track. She's so good at organization queen.
Women are so much better at that. Like, for real, dude. I'm very like big picture, like same thing, like relationship building. How do we get strategic partners, or like, who do we talk to do whatever? But then like Heather is super able to like pull me back down to earth and be like, okay, those are all really important things. Good thing that you figured that out. Now let's like take care of the daily. And then I'm like, okay, got it. Let's get back. I really do think it's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. We work together really well. We align personally very deeply, which has been essential just for keeping the morale up and having fun, and just building like a really solid foundation for a long-term relationship in general. And then for myself, my particular role, like most specifically as of recently, has been content creation, content strategy, just marketing in general, and like how do I develop a dynamic ecosystem to make sure people know about the thing. So it's been a lot of different things, from like editing the content to producing it to generating ideas and things like this, just launching the podcast and hosting that. And then aside from that, just being a community steward, so facilitating different authentic relating practices in the space, and representing the principles that we're speaking to, being a connector, all these things, and then wearing the other many various hats that we've had to, just learning so much, being thrown in the deep end of like business management and looking at numbers and commercial real estate, and talking to attorneys about operating agreements.
The boring shit.
I know. It's been interesting. It's been a good challenge. It's definitely been like a very good stretch in general, and like challenging my narrative about what I'm capable of, because I don't really identify as someone that is good at these things, but I've been able to, grasp to the degree that I need to, provide input and process in the ways that are necessary to know what like I'm getting into on a personal level. And obviously super essential just to, progressing and moving forward, and like understanding what's happening. But yeah, I look at the whole thing as just a work of art, right? Like there's so many moving parts, and I'm very enthusiastic about learning about all the moving parts and open, and it's very humbling as well just to like be in the process of all the things.
Yeah, cool. Who's your guys, like, to round it out, who's your ideal client?
That's a thing we've struggled to answer, truly.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, because it's so wide ranging, but I would say somebody that has certainly been on the spiritual path for some time, if we're going to pinpoint it to someone, or somebody that's at least starting to get curious and open up doors. Maybe they're like experiencing pain or dissolution or disconnection in their current communities, and they're looking for something more. They're starting to evolve out of the current paradigm of like going to the bars and like gathering around these typical standards as far as like what is the norm in our culture, and they're craving depth. They're yearning for a deeper connection with other people. They're yearning for more vitality in their bodies. They're yearning for more clarity. They're creators. They want to create something, and they want to be supported on that journey. And they want to be embraced for who they are, and in the extent of, every aspect of their humanity, like truly letting their freak flag fly instead of being judged for it, by people that are not really there yet and just uncomfortable and projecting their own insecurities onto them. So, but like, I mean, you want to speak to them more? There's just people that show up.
So many different people, like all different age groups too. I mean, we've had people as old as 85 show up to our events. And 85. Dang. And then we've had, then like my kids are 9 and 7, and they'll come to the events. They'll get in the cold water with us, get into the sauna. We had, our boy Kevin Bell, his daughter Dahlia is 7. She came to the event yesterday and was just, hanging out with the adults and doing the thing.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's super like, wide ranging in age. I think a lot of people find like this work too for different things. It's like I'm a high performing athlete and I love recovery. It's like I'm a person getting curious about my spiritual journey, and seeking community. some feedback we got from a different participant yesterday was like, I've been following the Hive on Instagram quite a bit because it's way different than anything else I'm seeing in my feed. So I think like differentiating ourselves in the space through just being authentic, and then also like really, really, really caring about people. Like, I mean, like we just like, I don't, like people like come to our events, they open up to us and like see us like in this like light of like, oh, this person is here to hold space, or like I just feel comfortable with that. It's like we're just trying to create more and more of that, and then like we can champion other people to be like, all right, now you go do that work and everything, and so it just like reverberates into the community. But yeah, I don't think that there's like a one size fits all like ideal client, but because like I just see tremendous value in all of these modalities that we're offering, of like building it into your daily practice in some way. Like maybe not everything, but like come try this out and see what fits well in your life and what makes you feel good, and that'll change over time. But if you get comfortable with the idea of like I should be trying new things, I think that's a good thing to encourage for sure.
Dope.
That's what people want. It's just like overcoming the resistance from the ego, the friction. Like we want to feel alive, but there's a price for that. There's a price for that. You have to take a leap into the unknown.
Yeah.
And you're going to be in resistance to that because change is hard. New experiences challenge your current paradigm. So with that comes friction, but we need friction to progress and move forward. That's literally how it works in a vehicle, or like if you're on ice skates, like there needs to be some level of friction for you to propel yourself forward. It's the same on like an internal, spiritual, mental, emotional level. Like the challenge is the way, or what's Ryan Holiday, the obstacle is the way. He has a book about that. I haven't read it, but
I just watched
like,
one of his YouTube videos.
Yeah, that just kind of encapsulates the philosophy. If you want to, learn about yourself, you want to know yourself more, you have to put yourself in the arena, and it's going to be messy. And
that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We're all going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst people are the people that act like they're not, not going through it at all, or have it all figured out, like we talked about before. All right. What's the last thing that you guys would want to tell people about the Hive?
I just truly want the best for everyone. I'm just a big lover. I have a huge heart. My arms are wide open and ready to receive you wherever you are at. And I know your mind is probably in resistance to that being a reality, because I know what that's like. But I mean, just to speak to, like at the event we had yesterday, there was just beautiful emotional opening. Somebody, connecting with their tears and sharing with the group ultimately that they're confused and they're going through like a sort of breakdown experience. And so many people are needing that level of breakdown and opening, and they're at this precipice, and just level of loss and grief and confusion and all these things that, I just want people to know that that's welcome, and that's actually completely normal. It's just we live in a culture that is not really available for that because of our own emotional immaturity as a people. So that's what I would say.
Last thing to know about the Hive. I don't know, I'm having a hard time putting a finger on it here.
It's $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Okay, a month. That's the bottom line offer.
That's the offer.
I think, there's like zero expectation of like where you quote unquote need to be. And I think like people need to know that like wherever you're at on your path, like is exactly where you're supposed to be. And, but I think what we're here to do is like ask deeper questions of like, what are we supposed to be doing with our lives, and who are the people that we're supposed to meet, and like also a tremendous gratitude in just your personal experience of like, how did I get so lucky to be here now, and get take some of this illusion away of like what life should be for yourself, and just be truly thankful for the body you're in and the community that you're in, and that like you can make this corner of the world the most beautiful corner that you want, like if you just like put forth that effort. And you said like it costs to do this, like it does, it takes courage. And like I just can't like try to instill in people enough that like you're way more powerful than you think, and like you have this inside of you. And for all the little voices in your head saying like, no, you can't do that, no, you're not good enough, that's not for you, it's like you got to tell those voices to, you know, be quiet and listen for that true self to come up to say like, I am worthy of this. I mentioned that the Purpose Spark program I took earlier on the online format. When I initially saw that Greg was offering it online, like in my mind, I was just like, oh, that's not for me. Like that must be for like the artists that he works with, or like, you know, the people on the road, or just like this different echelon of people that like, I wasn't in that group. And like, but I reached out to him anyway. I'm just like, do you think I could get in? He's like, dude, you're gonna love this. And so like he welcomed me in, and I remember like the first like question he asked, like, what's going on in your life? And I gave him this kind of like topical, superficial, like, oh, this, that, and the other thing. He goes, yeah, but Tyler, what's really going on in your life? And I just like broke down. And like I was like, I got this and this and I just like I kind of like blacked out, I feel like, for like 5 minutes, just like telling all the things. But sometimes it just takes like that little bit of encouragement to be like, no, I really want to know like what's going on with you, and like let's talk about the real things, because you're not here to get help with the superficial stuff. Like we can just dance around that all day. Like, you know, we're here to help at like the root core of like, how do we radically change your life if that's what you're seeking. And I think that, you know, we at the Hive can help facilitate some of that. So
sweet. Well, appreciate you boys. Thanks so much for coming in. This is cool. Really like it. We should do it again with your other business partners.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
Crying is not gay.
Crying. Well, it's still
super
gay,
cool.
But
crying feels really, really good. I think that's something that's as I've matured, become aware of, that like having those deep cries, whether it's like in joy or despair, is a part of the experience of being human. And you know, and just being like present with that like, you know, this too shall pass is a phrase that comes up too. That's like, whether that's good or bad, like, so enjoy whatever it is, even if it's like being sick or being injured, like I've been for the last couple of weeks. It's like, all right, well, I'm just going to enjoy this injury as much as I possibly can, and what's present with me, which was like being home more with the kids, like, you know, cleaning up the house, like taking more time to reflect, journal, keep the things quiet. And it's like, oh, I'm like consciously going to like enter this space of rehabilitation for myself, and that could mean a number of different things. So, yeah. I don't know where that.
I like talk forever.
Yeah, you just talk forever. Great. Yeah, but no.
Cool. Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.
Adios.
Peace.
That was good.